Welcome. Today I will introduce my solution, the REST model for Sencha Touch, with a quick demo of it in action. Let's first talk a little bit about the Sencha Touch model implementation. In its most basic form, it provides a way to work with a dataset representation. For the most part, it provides the model component to the model view controller pattern. It simplifies all of the work for an application to perform CRUD style operations and validation. The one missing component to the model in its current implementation is an auto-expansion feature. Working with RESTful services, it becomes obvious that a feature like auto-expansion would be very helpful to follow URIs in the model to populate additional properties of an object. The alternative is using multiple models for the same entity. You could have a smaller model that would include the ID and URIs and maybe a few properties to present some information to the user. Once the user demands more information for that entity, go load the detailed model and show the requested information to the user. That leads to additional code that will need to be maintained. Let's take a quick look at an entity. An entity is basically a web service, except that it has specialized CRUD handling, which is done through the HTTP methods. However, a RESTful web service represents a specific idea or collective object. For instance, a car would be an object. It has many properties that make up the idea of a car, like number of doors, engine size, color, as well as the maker, model, and year. We may use a URI like http://host/API/cars to retrieve every car we understand in our system. Inside that data service, we might have a record that represents the car maker, Chevrolet. We can request more data from the server by using the ID Chevrolet to get more details. For instance, the models that are produced by that maker or model years. This gives us a smaller, more concise dataset and subsequently only loads data as the user requests it. I began looking to simplify working with RESTful services to address the issues I identified earlier and came up with the REST model. The REST model allows us to define one model for each entity, both the brief model with a URI and the detailed, full-blown model. It provides an auto-expansion capability by inspecting the state of the model when more information is requested, as well as a method for manual expansion. There are special events for more advanced processing to ensure that the application can stay informed when the model has been loaded. Overall, the amount of code is reduced and maintenance can be kept in one location where the model is used throughout an application. Now let's see this in action. With my cars application loaded, we can see a list of car makers. As we click through each maker, we can see that there is enough information already preloaded from the initial data service request. I've designed this application in a way to show the user brief information about the cars until more detailed information has been requested. Looking closer at the maker Chevrolet, we have a list of various models and the model years. Tapping the Malibu 2006 record will see a loading mask. For demo purposes, I have introduced a wait time to show that the data is actually loading. Once the model has completed loading, the form is populated with the record. Looking at the car maker's model, we can see the basic properties of the maker and the association with the car model. The car model shows the details regarding the car model itself. The initial data load will include the ID, name, maker ID, and year, as well as the URI to retrieve the rest of the entity. Going back to the application, we can see the request for Malibu.json. There we can see the properties of the model that have been loaded. We now know the car is blue and has an automatic transmission. Looking back at the request for makers.json, we can see the very basic information that was presented on the initial screens. We see that this more detailed information was loaded at a later time. Please check out my blog for more information or to share your feedback on my REST model implementation. Thank you for your time.